Okay, my screen recording has begun. We're going to do that what I call table resume, because it's a resume made with tables. Okay, so to start out with, we're going to click the center alignment. Everyone should know that. You click the little center alignment right there. And go ahead and put in your own name. Don't worry about making it bold right now. We can come back and do that later. But do center it. I would center it right now because that's not a hard thing to undo or change. Then hit return and do the 2131. Yeah, that's my weekly Harper Creek Optimist Club reminder. It's a robocall that they got a meeting tonight. Okay, so we got 2131 Dollarton Highway. Now, if anything is underlined red because of spelling, just ignore it because that's not in the dictionary. Remember how I explained spell check that one time? All it is a dictionary it compares the words to, and if it doesn't have it, it thinks it's misspelled. And if you misspell a word, but in the process spell another word, it will not catch it. So that's one of the weaknesses of spell check. Okay, then you do, these are all Canadian addresses and references here, so we do North Vancouver. Anybody know what BC stands for? Anyone know what province of Canada Vancouver's in? British Columbia, yep. Way out west. What? Do we put what in now? Put in, yeah, you put your name, but then you put the address that's on here. Now, they have a different way of doing zip codes. So it's going to look a little weird to us, but do it like it's on there. Now, for the email, put your name, but then put @commerce.com, which I know is a made-up email address, but that'll work. Okay? Now, this is something you don't see as much as you used to. A phone and fax number. Faxing used to be real big. It's becoming less and less because of the web. But there are still fax numbers in the business world. Put your actual name for the email, then put commerce.com. So put the @ sign. The @ sign is above the number 2. You gotta just press shift and the number 2. Now after you do that, hit return and change your alignment back to the left. Okay? And leave your cursor there. In other words, don't type the word objective at this time. Actually, you can. Now that I think about it, you can. Objective is not going to be in a table, and neither is the line underneath it. We're not starting our table till education. Okay, so all this is done. We're not going to use tables here. Okay, so I'm just walking around here while you guys are doing that. So up until this point, there's no tables involved. This is all done without tables. Now, after you hit return for the email address, it's going to make a hyperlink. Don't worry about that. Just leave it. We will undo that later. Don't worry about bolds and italics or anything like that right now. Don't worry about any squiggly lines for red or green. Now, under objective, a lot of times there are things you put on resumes, which is basically your information for getting a job, where they're worded a little bit unique because it works in a resume, but it may not be technically proper grammar. So like under objective, like what's the objective? Like what are you trying to do? And in this case, the person is they want to apply their organizational and computer skills as an administrative assistant in a service-based company or organization. So it's not proper grammar, but within the context of the way the resume is written, it's okay. Okay, now if you don't like that green squiggly line, you could do a right click on it and click ignore. Which actually, that's what I'm going to do so I don't have to. I'm also going to do an ignore on Dollarton. Okay. Now, after you type education, hit return and stop there, because that's where we're going to put our table. So don't put any more content after the word education. So what are we doing here? We're starting our resume. There's no table comes in. We're actually going to make 3 different tables. And they're all going to be basically about the same thing as far as how they're made and how they're set up. Okay, so we have this here. Now, here's the thing is because some of you are extremely slow in typing, and I don't mean that as a put down, means that hopefully you find time that you can do a lot more typing so you can increase your skills. We're going to move on to type the word education if you're not already there. In other words, you can come back and finish a sentence above it later. Okay, most of you are probably on objective now, but I don't want to wait another 5 minutes, so go ahead and type education. You can come back and fill in any of this later. Okay? So type the word education, hit return, and get your cursor right underneath it. And then look up here. Okay, everyone should be ready to do that in about 10 seconds. If you got anything above that, you got to finish it and come back later and finish it. Okay, now the section under education, we're going to put in what's called a 2x2 table. And it's pretty easy to do. Okay, you go to insert menu up here at the very top. Everyone see insert menu way up there at the very top? Where do you think you go to put a table? Now you notice I told you put the cursor under education. If anyone wasn't paying attention, this happens sometime. People aren't paying any attention. They don't have any clue where their cursor is. It's in the middle of some other sentence. And then they insert the table, and guess where it goes? Wherever their cursor is. Okay, so make sure your cursor is underneath education right there. Not next to it, but under it. Okay, then go to insert and go to table. Now when you go there, it's going to bring up this tab right here. It says tables. Okay, and they have table styles. We're going to go over here on the right. See where it says new? It's up here in this right here, table options. Everyone see new up there? Way up there? Yep, pull that down on the far left where it says new. Now this is kind of a weird way to do it. They've changed it a bit over the years. But highlight in the first 4, which is 2x2 table. See what I did there? I dragged my mouse and I highlighted 2 over and 2 down. Okay, so that makes 4 little squares there. And in the little space above it, it put in 2x2 table. See what we're doing there? We're making a 2x2 table. So we're selecting this here, and then we let go, and it creates a 2x2 table. So that's 2 columns by 2 rows. Okay? Now to start out with, we're going to take a look here and see where it's got like the year 2009, 2010, and then it's got Capilano College. Okay, see this middle line between the 2 sides? You can put your cursor on it and drag it. We're going to drag it over to approximately, I'm going to say about 1.5 inch mark. So when you drag it, there'll be a line that goes up to your ruler. So let's try it about maybe even a tiny bit after 1.5 inch, maybe about right there. We can always move it later, but we want to move it somewhere right around there, probably between 1.5. I think 2 inches might be too far over. Okay, probably right around there. Okay, now that has started the section. So if you haven't figured it out yet, we're going to put 2009, 2010 right here. So go ahead and click in the first. This is called a cell. Go ahead and click in there and put 2009-2010. Now, to go to the one next to it, you can either click in there or press the tab key. Either one will bring your cursor over to the one to the right. Then you type in Capilano College. Whoop, of course I'm screwing all mine up here. Capilano College. Now don't worry if anything underlines in red, just ignore that. Put North Vancouver, BC. Okay. Now everything Capilano College is going to go in that same cell. Okay? So in other words, after you type that line, Capilano College, North Vancouver, BC, just press return. It'll make your cell bigger automatically. And then you could type administrative assistant certificate. Now when you get to what's going to become a bulleted list, here's the secret of the bulleted list as you type it. Don't hit return until the end of the bulleted item. So when you go to do the next line, which is going to be computer skills and mention a bunch of software, don't hit return until after InDesign. Then don't worry about your bullets right now. We'll come back and do those later. Then when you do the next line that's bulleted, business communication, organizational behavior, you type that and then hit return. We'll come back later. The key for the bullets is don't hit return until the end of what's going to be a bulleted item. So all this is in the same cell. You know, we're not moving anything to a new cell. It's all in there. Everything Capilano College is there. So go ahead and do that. I'll be doing it myself here. So I'm putting computer skills, and we're going to do it Microsoft Office 2013. Then I put a comma. Word is a capital W, just like it is on there. Excel is a capital E, just like it is on there, and so on. Notice PowerPoint got two capitals in it. The P's are both capital. Front page. Let's delete front page. If you type it by accident, no big deal, but front page no longer exists. It used to be a web design software as part of Microsoft Office, but it was lousy software and they eventually dropped it. Okay, I'm going to do another little change here. After PowerPoint, if you type it like on the sheet, I won't hold it against you, but I'm going to make a little change here. After PowerPoint, let's update this here a little bit. Front page is gone. Not me. No one seriously doing publishing uses Publisher. So we'll put Dreamweaver instead. Instead of front page. Publisher is optional. If you include it, fine, but if you want to drop it, go ahead. And then we'll put and Adobe InDesign. So InDesign's on there. So basically, if you want to, feel free to drop Publisher and front page. And we'll replace front page. Well, Publisher will just drop unless you want to type it in for some reason. And we're adding Dreamweaver, which is a professional level web design software that's widely used in the business world. So we got what I put here after PowerPoint. I put a comma. I dropped also, I don't know why that semicolon was in there, but I dropped the, after the PowerPoint, I put a comma, I put Dreamweaver. Now there's no comma when there's an and. You don't have to put a comma in there. So I put an and then I put Adobe InDesign, which is also on your sheet. I don't know why that semicolon's there, but we'll fix that. So if you leave in Publisher, fine, but put in Dreamweaver. You can drop front page. That doesn't even exist anymore. Then I hit return. I don't hit return until after InDesign. Then I'm going to do business, communications, and organizational behavior. Then I'm going to hit return again and put in basic, accounting, and bookkeeping. And if you notice, bookkeeping got 2 K's in the middle. And then I hit return again, and I do administrative procedures. And I hit return again, and I do internet communications. Now later when we come back through this, you know, after we've done all these sections, we can then add in, we'll do our bullets and our bolds and our italics and all that. But right now, just put in your basic info. Now I'm going to click the little hidden symbol sign so you can see that. Only hit return at the end of each bulleted item. So there's no bullets up here yet, but if you do that, when you add the bullets, it'll work perfect. Okay, so I only hit return at the end of each item that's bulleted. Okay, now we'll do the bullets later. We'll come back. Now, as you may have figured out, the other 2 cells of this particular table, the one on the bottom left is going to be 2002 to 2007. And don't worry if you don't have all this here typed yet. I'm going to stop here in just a moment and give you a chance to catch up. Then we got Point Grey Senior Secondary School. So that's the basics. Basically, each of the next several sections, which would be work experience and volunteer experience, are going to be absolutely identical to this. In other words, you're going to put in the table after the keyword. So after work experience, after volunteer, it's going to be a 2x2 table. You're going to drag the middle one over and line it up with the same one from the top table. And you're going to type in the information the exact same way. So I can stop the record now because I would just be doing the same thing 3 more times. Then later you can go back through and add your bolds and italics and bullets and all that, which we've already covered.